Hello everyone, round 2 of pod phase here, doing another battle report. Thank you all so much for watching that first pod video. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and give that a watch. I got an 8-3 in my first game, so that sets me up for round 2 here against StarWarsMaster501. Going to go over the lists briefly, and then we will take a look at the game. Again, got essentially a slideshow of pictures of important moments that I'll go over. But without further ado, we'll start with mine. Everyone, again, knows my list. It's an Assault Frigate Mark IIA with Kirsta and Callan Haven, MC-30, 2 GR-75s, and then Jan and 7 YT-2400s. As I said in the last video, I'll do a deep dive on this list someday, probably at the end of World Cup or somewhere around there. But for now, we're mainly going to focus on my opponent's lists. So my opponent was StarWarsMaster501, running Screed on a Kuat with Reva, Darth Vader, Boarding Trooper, electronic countermeasures, leading shots, expanded launchers, and Devastator. An Onager class Star Destroyer with Tua, ECMs, Ordnance Experts, Weapons Battery Techs, and Super Heavy Composite Beam Turbo Lasers. That's the blue beam with ignition medium. Then a Gazanti with Hondo and Commsnet, and 6 generic TIE Fighters with a 9-point bid, so he has me outbid for this game. I believe that Star Wars Master referred to this list as ISD Dice Hose, and that totally makes sense. You've got the 8 natural dice plus 2 more from expanded launchers, plus up to an additional 4 more out the front with Devastator. This ISD does one thing. And if you hang out in that front arc too long, especially if you've already hit it a few times, this thing's going to pop stuff. And then I always love seeing the Onager Star Destroyer on the table. A lot of people have issues with the Onager. I have exactly 0 issues with the Onager Star Destroyer. I think it is a perfectly priced ship for what it does, and I think it's pretty effective. It's the test bed version that I have a problem with. It's just way too cheap. But anywho, let's go ahead and hop into the game here. So, Star Wars Master had bid, and he elected to go first. So he selected my most wanted for my objectives, and I put most wanted on my Commsnet GR-75 and his Onager. Here's deployment. I had him pretty well out deployed to the point where I put down 1 GR-75 and all my squads, and I got to put down my Torren Far, the Assault Frigate, and the MC-30 last. So that's a great position to be in. He didn't have a super small amount of deployments, I believe 6 deployments, but that really can't compete with my 8 deployments, especially with me going second. But this is how we deployed. He's got pretty much everything straight ahead of me that he's going to come down this way with. That's what I thought was going to happen. This was the only ship I had on the table when he deployed everything, and so I put Torren Far back here because I figured the squad war is going to happen somewhere over here, and I want Torren to be in range for that. And then MC-30 is out here with the intention to go after that Onager, kind of around the outside there. Depending on what he does with this, all I want to do is make sure I'm staying at extreme of his bullseye arc there, or whatever it's called, and so that Foresight can discard a bunch of dice and then get into at least the outside of the front arc, outside of that super weapon range, or into the side arc where the MC-30 can start to pound it, because as most wanted, with external racks and everything, and the fact that I can cycle to a cone fire with a skilled first officer if I want to, this MC-30 can absolutely pound that Onager if I can get it to close range. Easier said than done as second player, but that's my plan here. And then the Assault Frigate, like my last game against Caribbean Ninja, I'm up against another Kuat with a dangerous boarding team and a whole lot of dice it can throw. So name of the game, once again, is do not end up in close range in the front of the ISD with either of my valuable ships. If one of these gets popped, not the end of the world, but losing the Assault Frigate or the MC-30 really hurts, so I am just trying to stay away from the front arc of this ship. If I get to the front arc and it's at long or medium, totally fine. I just don't want to get boarding troopered with Vader and then take 10 to 14 dice, essentially. So that's my plan going in here. So we're going to move on to, this is the end of round 1, start of round 2. He has come in turned this way as I am running along this side with both of these at speed 2. Tauren is a little bit out of position here because realistically in this game I'm going to be using my YTs offensively to bomb once I clear out those TIE fighters. And so that's probably going to be happening over here somewhere. And so Tauren is way out of position right now. So that's a mistake by me there. But everything else is about as you'd expect. I figured the ISD is going to come right about here. And so I just need to keep running this way. I just don't want to get in a situation where he's pinching me with the bullseye arc of the assault of the onager here, as well as threatening the front arc of the ISD. So gotta fly carefully here. Into round 2, this is the ISD's move. Again, sorry for the relatively low resolution of the pictures here. I'm not running a super tight operation. We're just doing all this pretty casually. But this is the ISD move at speed 3, moving very aggressively. I think this is a good play. He knows that this is where the fighting is going to be happening, so he brings the Kuat in. The Kuat has to be relevant in this game, because if the Onager is the only thing shooting, I'm going to win 10 times out of 10. So the Kuat has to make itself relevant, and coming in at this angle is a really good way of doing that. So I thought that this was a great move by him. He's playing aggressively and trying to cut me off this way. This is the Onager situation for this round. So I've got both my ships at extreme and long of the tokens, so it's just going to be 3 red at whatever he shoots at. He ends up shooting at the assault frigate here, and I think after evades and stuff, he does 1 damage, which I redirect to my front. And then that's the only shot he has, and so everything else is fine. He didn't shoot at the MC-30 because the MC-30 could cancel all 3 with foresight if it wanted to. So he did a damage to the assault frigate's front arc, but that's all that the Onager accomplishes this round. This is where he ends up after that move. Again, good. I like the turn here. This debris field is not ideal, particularly because he took the damage on this outside here, which is going to come back to bite him, because that's the side I'm going for. That's where I'm going to go try to get my stuff into that arc. I'm not going to be cutting through this way. And so I think he was probably worried about the YTs coming in here and starting to bomb an open side right away. But that's a massive flak bubble. You have side, and potentially front here, and front and potentially side there. I'm never going to put my YTs there because they'll just take a bunch of damage that I don't need them to take. So I probably would have taken the 2 damage here from the debris field. But this move does let him put down the token right here, which is a great spot because that's where I'm heading. He's leading his shots well. So this makes it tough if I can get where I need to with these 2 things this round while staying out of major threat range of this ISD. This is what I end up going with for the MC-30, which I was pretty happy with. Moved up to speed 3, still in the bullseye here, but we are at medium range of the token and extreme of the ship, so foresight is at full power. And then subsequently, this is what I decided to do with the assault frigate. Kind of slot in behind it, again at speed 3. This move has me, again, within the bullseye arc, but at medium and extreme, and out of any meaningful threat range of that ISD, which is exactly what I wanted to get to. Here is the end of the round. He moved some TIE fighters up to protect this onager, and my YTs, they killed 4, but they rolled like utter garbage. This is again where Tauren is way out of position. I would have loved to have rerolls because it took 7 YTs to kill 4 TIE fighters, which is ridiculous. If Tauren was up there, I could have probably had at least one more shot on this TIE fighter or something like that. So not ideal, but this is still a pretty good position for me. I'm wiping out his fighter screen, which means I'm going to be able to start bombing that onager soon. Jan is in fine position here to help with some flak and anti-squad shots, and then I've got both of my meaningful ships at extreme of the onager, so things are looking good. He goes with the ISD first, shoots at the assault frigate, and gets me to spend my redirect, G shot at long range, and then moves up into here. So at first I thought, oh, he's kind of blocked himself in, but with the navigate, the onager can get out here and still be in a really good spot to take some shots. It just kind of forces his hand in like activation order. Because if he jumps out here with the onager, he's going to have to go with it first, because I don't think he can hop it with the ISD, or if he does, the ISD is going to be totally out of position the rest of the game. So I may have gone speed 2 here and waited to see what my ships ended up doing, but I don't think it's a horrible move by any means. But as you can probably tell, the ISD has really not contributed very much to this game, and that's exactly how I wanted it to go. If the ISD is contributing in a meaningful way, I'm kind of in trouble. Here's the Onager situation. This is when it's about to take its shot, like I said. Extreme range of the Onager itself, and both of these ships in the blue dice range, so I believe that's going to be 5 dice, 3 red, 2 blue, or 4 dice after obstruction if he decides to shoot the assault frigate, which he does. He does end up shooting the assault frigate. I believe he deals another damage. I evade the meaningful damage, and then I think I take one more. So he's spending quite a few shots shooting at the assault frigate. I'm not giving him great shots, but that's what he's spending his time shooting, which, I mean, it takes a lot for that assault frigate to go down. So if I was him, I may have spent a little more time trying to strip shields off the MC-30 so that I'm forced to play a little less aggressively with it. Because as it stands, the MC-30 has not taken a single damage, which means I'm going to be super aggro with it and try to kill that Onager quickly. But this is after its move. He moves up speed 2, like I said. He ends up hitting the debris again, and so he takes 2 more damage this time off of the front. I still don't know why he's not taking them off of this side. I guess he still doesn't want me to go over there, but he's got the beautiful flak bubble there, so I'm never going to shoot at this side. He lands on some stuff, and he puts the ignition token out here, which I think is the right play, because that is where I'm heading, and he wants to try and head me off that way. So, it's back to me. This is what I go with for the MC-30. I didn't have any meaningful shots. I think I rolled 1 blue at the assault frigate, at the ISD, and got an accuracy. What I have not pointed out is something he's been doing with the few shots that I've just thrown at the ISD because I can, because that's all I have in range. He frequently spends a bunch of tokens he doesn't need to because he's trying to get me to shoot him subsequent times so he can discard tokens with Devastator. That has its pros and cons, right? Like, more dice, better chance of killing my ships. But A, I'm not giving him great front arc shots. And B, if he discards all of his defense tokens, then my squads are going to have a field day. So it's, he's not in a great position at this point in the game, so I think it was some, not desperation, but like, hey, we'll see if it works. If I get the extra dice, that's fantastic. If not, whatever. But I never really gave him the opportunity for that. But this is the MC-30 move. Moved up, we are in close and we are double arced, but we are out of the bullseye arcs, so that the normal front arc and the normal side arc are not super dangerous. I'm pretty confident that no matter, even if he rolls really well, I'm confident in Foresight's ability to reroll and to move damage around, that I will survive this hit and then be out scot-free, and this puts me in a fantastic situation no matter what speed he goes or where he ends up, of getting a close range side arc shot where I can dump my normal side arc, racks, most wanted, and potentially a Confire as well into that Onager, which should sink it. This is the assault frigate move here. I don't have the range bands up, but this is the end of the round. And as you can see, I finally wiped out the TIE fighters. Again, without Torren Farr, which he did a great job of blocking here with this Kazanti when he moved it up. Torren couldn't slot in right there. I had to go around the outside. Without Torren Farr, my YTs just continued to roll terribly. It took 5 YTs to kill 2 unobstructed TIE fighters, which is ridiculous. So I only got to bomb with 2 of my YTs, but we've done some damage. We got no shields here, I believe 2 on the front. So they're doing okay. And then the assault frigate, I moved up to where I am just out of the bullseye arc here. It just misses my front. I am also not in the side arc. It just barely clips the corner of plastic, but no cardboard. So I am in a great spot with the assault frigate, and I am not in the front arc of the ISD. I'm just sitting in the side here at long range. So the assault frigate is in the perfect position here. I'd like to say it was intentional, and I did think about it a lot, but it just so happened that there was a nice little space right there that I could slot into. Moving forward, this is into the next round, I believe round 4. The Onager takes the front arc shot first and does a little bit of damage, and then this is the side arc shot before any rerolls, which this would be a rough shot for the MC-30 to take, but Foresight is BS, and the new evade rules are kind of BS. And this is the post rerolls after discarding one of my evades. With Foresight rerolling 3 dice, we've taken 7 damage down to 3. So, yeah, new evade is way too strong. So the MC30 is going to be totally fine off of those onager shots, and then the onager has to move up into range. My MC30 absolutely nukes it with a double arc down to 2 health. Side note, this ended up being an illegal maneuver by him with the onager. He did 2 clicks at the last joint, which he was not able to do with his nav situation at speed 3. But I decided, because he was having trouble backing it up, and it was kind of starting to mess with the game of trying to get back and do the maneuver correctly, so I just said, no need to waste the time. No matter where you end up, you're going to end up double arc to close, so we'll just say it's right there, because that's where he wanted to be anyway, so I decided to give that to him, and we'll just move on. MC30 nukes him down to 2 hull and flies away, and that thing is now gone scot-free. It has totally done its job. It has moved in, absorbed a couple shots, absolutely let loose with all of its dice, and did a lot of damage, and now it's gone. And that's kind of how you have to play it as second player. You can't set up any super cool last firsts or get it into range and be able to go with it first. You have to make sure it takes a couple shots that doesn't kill it, put it in a position to do its job, and then get out with it. So this is a situation then after the MC30 move. And here is end of round. So end of round 4, the assault frigate, I think he lobbed a die or 2 at the assault frigate, did almost nothing, and then the assault frigate kills the rest of the onager through its remaining tokens and shields. So onager is dead, and I moved up speed 1 with the assault frigate. Should have gone speed 2. I was still a little bit nervous about getting in the front arc there, but I think I could have gotten up a little further to maybe right here and set up myself for a better double arc this coming turn, because he is at speed 3 and going to run. But I just didn't want to risk it, since I've already got a very high scoring game here. Might as well try not to lose anything. The YTs, 1 or 2 of them whiffed, but did some good damage stripping the ISD. But we decided at this point, we started turn 5, and he moved that ISD up at speed 3 up to about here, where he was just in the front arc of the assault frigate at long range. He was not going to go off the board round 6. He had plenty of room, and a couple of my YTs were not going to be able to get to the ISD, along with Jan as well. I had no way to activate her. So at best, it was going to be about 4 or 5 YTs and 2 dice from the assault frigate, which I decided was not worth risking, because there's a far juicier target right here. And so we just said, hey, rounds 5 and 6, I'm just going to put all my attention of my squads onto that Gazanti. So I just rolled a bunch of black dice and got enough hits on those, even after rerolls, to kill that Gazanti with plenty of room to spare. And I learned from my lesson with Caribbean Ninja. I did the math and was like, if I kill that Gazanti, that's a 10-1. I don't have to go after the ISD, because I was pretty sure I couldn't kill the ISD with this situation, but I was 100% sure I could kill that Gazanti. So always do your math at the end of games, folks, before you make important decisions. So, like I said, that ends up being a 10-1 to me. Raw score was 320 to 0, because the onager was the most wanted ship. Overall, it was a fun game. Made me think with a lot of my maneuvers, but it let me kind of flex that part of my brain with, doing the right maneuver and getting things in ranges and that kind of stuff. I feel like I played pretty well with a few small mistakes, like Torin being way out of position, and my move this round not being great with the assault frigate, but stuck to the game plan. The game plan was always going to be kill all the ties, kill the onager. If I can kill the Gazanti, that's great, and just leave the ISD alone. I don't want to give him Devastator. I need to be running away from that a lot of the game. And that's exactly what we executed. If I was him, I probably would not have taken Most Wanted. I probably would have gone with VIP, because at worst I'm just getting 50 points versus the extra 110 that I got from the Most Wanted onager. But for the sake of my tournament run, I do appreciate that. So we end up with a 10 this round and 8 last round, so I was sitting at 18 tournament points going into my final round of pod phase. That put me in a good spot. The rest of the pod situation at this point was the rest of my pod mates. So Solo Severity had gotten a 10-1, or it's not Solo Severity. Solo, hold on, I'm going to pull it up so I say it correctly. Solo Severity, or hold on, Solo Severity. There it is. Okay, Solo Severity. Maybe I was right the first time. Or hold on. No, okay, yeah, Solo Serenity. It is written incorrectly in the Vassal World Cup site, like on Blissfully Ignorant Gaming. They have it wrong there. The username that I have for Jordan, that's his name, in the Discord is Solo Serenity. Anyway, he got a 10-1 against Star Wars Master in their first round, and I got the 8-3 versus Caribbean Ninja. And then in round 2, I got the 10-1 against Star Wars Master, and Caribbean Ninja got, I believe, a 9-2 against Solo. So that put me at 18, Caribbean Ninja and Solo both tied at 12, and Star Wars Master at 2. So all I needed to do in round 3 is take care of business, and I'd be on to Swiss phase. So we will do that battle report. Maybe Monday or Tuesday of this week. I'll try to have that video out before I head off to LVO. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Have a great rest of your day. Stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you later.